Today, we're going to see the best way to launch a podcast in 2025. This is going to be especially relevant for conscious leaders, coaches, and light workers. It's going to be to launch a podcast and YouTube channel. Also works for YouTube. And it's for people who treat it as a business, treat it seriously, who are ready to commit. So if you're not sure, you just want to record a few videos to see if it's for you, amazing, do that, but this won't be as relevant. I'm Alex and I've been podcasting for over 6 years now. I've accumulated quite a bit of experience and I also researched the best practices online, and here I've summed it up in 8 different steps. So let's get into it. Number 1, make a commitment, because you're going to learn so much faster if you're committed. So I recommend committing to at least 6 hours a week. It's usually a good amount of time. You don't need to do much more than this, because I know a lot of you guys, you're not full-time podcasters or YouTubers, you have a business, you're a coach. So 6 hours a week for 8 weeks is a great way to test it, but to test it properly. That's usually how I work with my clients, and starting with a commitment of 1 episode a week during those 8 weeks. This is important because if you put half the time, you might get a fifth of the result. You know, it's like if you learn, at the moment I'm learning salsa, right? I'm taking a lesson every week, and then almost every day I take 10 or 15 minutes to repeat. If I were to take a lesson every month, I wouldn't make any progress because I would forget and get back into it. So there's a momentum there, and there's a sweet spot of about 6 hours a week that will get you the results for the time you invest. So make that commitment. Also, then your mindset is into it. Just doing like, when people come and they're like, oh, I'll do an hour a week, post an episode a month, just doesn't work. You forget about it. And then if you try to align with guests, it's going to take much more of your time in moments that you didn't dedicate for it. Just be realistic, make that commitment, or wait. If you want to, play around, do a few videos here and there, then do that. It's great. Get comfortable doing it. You'll learn, but then you don't really fall into the category I talked about, treat it as a business. If you're not sure, it's okay. You can book a call with me. There's a link in the description, and we'll get more clear if it's the right time for you to make that commitment. All good. Number 2, choose video and YouTube. This is really important because a few reasons. Well, first is the easiest to go on YouTube, and YouTube has become the biggest podcasting platform. We're not in the old days when it was iTunes. This is really kind of dying, guys. And YouTube is the biggest platform. Also, really important to get discovered. YouTube is the second search engine after Google, and it's owned by Google. People go on YouTube and search how to stop smoking, how to lose weight. There's such a lot of things on YouTube. I do that myself too. I'm sure you do too. Maybe that's how you found that video. People don't do that on iTunes, or very rarely. If you want to get discovered, you need to be on YouTube, even if you do a podcast on iTunes and Spotify too. Now there's a transparency and a community element to YouTube that's really good too. Like iTunes and Spotify, they can be this black box. You don't know how many views, there's no comment or likes. On YouTube, it's very interactive. You can see people commenting, the likes, the views. You have great analytics too. You can have conversations there. It's like much more like a community. It's got that social media vibe too, which is really useful for you. You can repurpose, so that's doing video. You can use clips for Instagram. So when you do podcasting, definitely do video for that reason too. And also I want to say nowadays, thanks to AI, all these things are much easier. Like I used to hire a virtual assistant that would take 20 hours to do the job with AI that you or VA can now do in 2 hours. So definitely do video, prioritize YouTube. You can still post on Spotify and iTunes. That's what I do with my other podcast, because it's still handy for some people, but they won't discover you there. They will discover you on YouTube listen to 10 minutes, and then they'll subscribe on Spotify. You want to prioritize YouTube. And that goes also with doing a little bit of work on how do you do titles and thumbnails, but without getting lost. And we'll go talk about it with the perfectionist part that we want to avoid. But just choose YouTube and video. It's a little bit of extra work. But in 2025, guys, you need to do that. Also, you see your face. People see your face. It builds trust. Now, number 3, have a strong why. And that's really important because you want to be in that high vibration. And so and also because you want to keep going, you want to have fun. So if you don't have a strong why, one, when it gets hard, you're going to quit. And 2, people are going to feel it. Well, if you have that strong why, so for example, for me, it's like, okay, I'm passionate about raising the consciousness of our planet, and I believe amazing content flooding the internet can do that, participate in that. Then it's much more fun for me to show up for years, like I've been, and people feel it too. If you do your podcast feeling, I feel in scarcity, I need clients, that's not going to be fun. You're going to stop, right? So really get clear on your why and write it down, and you can go back to it all the time, and then you keep having that passion and motivation. Like really get specific. So have a strong why. It links to the second one, which is get clear on your goals and positioning. So you want to be clear on your why, and you want to be clear also like, what do I want out of it? That's number 4. What do I want out of it? What are my goals? What's my positioning? If I were to categorize them, there would be 3 types of goals, maybe. The first one is to get leads for your business and ultimately clients. So with a goal like this, there'll be different strategies. You want to be probably more niche, really on point, maybe a reverse engineer. Start with the end in mind. I want client, I want leads. What content am I going to do that? Or maybe you want more influence. So this one, you might work more on how do I get more views? How do I get people curious to click on my video? How do I get big guests that I know are going to cross promote? And another one is being a passion project. So in this one, you prioritize your own growth, learning to speak online, learning from amazing guests, whatever topic it is, connecting with these people, expanding your network, starting to grow a brand. So in the passion project, maybe your podcast is just the Alex podcast, the Your Name podcast, and you just flow with that, go on an adventure. And each of them, they will have different positioning, different strategies based on if you do interviews, solo episodes. So again, here, let's have a conversation about that so we can get really granular and tailored to what you want to create on a call. And this can be radically different strategies and tools that we use and all this based on your goals. So you want to be clear with that. Number 5, if I were to launch a podcast in 2025, which I'm doing actually now, I would start with 2 episodes. Always good to start with 2 because you may have people who discover you and then they want to listen or watch something else, right? And you could do 3, but you also don't want to postpone. You want to get started. So usually what I recommend with the 2 is 1 is a presentation of what you're going to do. And number 2 is more like a typical style that you're going to do. So for example, this video is a typical type of educational video that I'll do on my channel. But if you found this now and just clicked on it, like the day after I launched with 2 videos. Another one is the presentation. So you can also look into what I'm about, what this channel is going to be about. And so you watch one video, you're like, oh, interesting. You found me. And then you're like, oh, what is it about? Okay, now I'll subscribe. So I recommend this type. So if you're going to do a podcast that is many interviews, publish 1 interview that's typical of what you're going to do and 1 solo episode where you explain what you're going to do with that podcast. So start with 2 episodes. People have more to start with. They can, and then go like, then you can post weekly, but start with 2. Number 6, have the right tools and systems. This is really important because, guys, a lot of people never start their podcast, but also 90% quit before episode 10. When you don't have the right systems and tools, you're either overwhelmed and you never start, or you start but then it doesn't grow. It gets overwhelming after and you stop. So it's really important to look at having the right equipment, and usually it's much more simple than you think. This is a recording on my iPhone 15. Period. Easy. AI has been doing so much progress. You can automate so many things. That's amazing. You want to look at that. And having the right processes, like things that are streamlined, so it makes it easy. For example, I don't like doing editing. I don't want to spend time editing. You can see this is one take. So easy, guys. So easy. You want this number 7 of the best ways to launch a podcast in 2025. Rally your support team. Guys, you already have people who follow what you're doing, who love you, who want to support you. You want to leverage that from the start. Why wouldn't you? First, you're going to get feedback from them. That's going to be very valuable. And number 2, you're going to get much more traction because you already get more views. The algorithm sees there's more interest. So they're going to push your launch. And number 3, these people generally are interested in what you do. They're potential clients. So you're actually giving them more content and it's giving them a reason to become your client even more. So really 3 good reasons to rally your support team. Don't be shy about it. Best support team are usually people who love you, but also people who fall under your ideal audience. So ideally, they don't do it just to support you, but also because they're genuinely interested. The last one is probably the most important. All of these are amazing to do, but we need to avoid perfectionism, guys. And so many people, they never get ready. They wait for the right equipment, then it's the right software, then it's the right thing to say. And we really want to find that balance. So avoid perfectionism is valid for everyone, whether you're more seasoned or you're more like a total beginner. A lot of these steps, as I mentioned, is for people who treat it as a business. But even if you treat it as a business, even if you take it seriously, you want to avoid perfectionism. You want to find that balance of doing it as well as you can, but without creating paralysis. So you don't want to just launch with like a, if you're already an established coach with a big brand, I don't tell you just take your phone and start talking about anything. No, you want to do something nice, but you don't want to procrastinate too much. You don't want to overthink it either. And it's going to evolve. Keep that in mind. And podcasting and YouTube, yes, there is definitely a lot of time that can be saved from taking the time to refine your why, to get clear on your goals, to do all these things for sure. It's like you're slowing down to actually make everything faster. And it's a very forgiving medium. You can totally start your podcast and evolve over time. So my podcast, the Light Leaders podcast, has changed topics. It's changed the look of it. I've changed the name. It's evolved. And this is fine because people who discover your podcast or YouTube channel, they usually discover the most recent episodes and they start consuming the most recent. And only when they're true fans, they will think, oh, maybe I can watch the earlier episodes. But by then, even if the episodes aren't as aligned or are not as good, it's totally fine because it becomes part of the story. So it's very forgiving in the way that it's not like a book. Imagine if you're writing a book and you start writing the first 3 chapters, and after 3 chapters, you think, oh, I'm actually going to write about something else. I don't like this. And then you write more. And then by chapter 6, you realize, oh, actually, I wasn't writing well at all. Now I'm so much better. And from chapter 7, then you write much better. Well, that's going to fuck up the whole book. because people start with chapter 1, 2, 3, and they'll never get to chapter 7. But in the case of a podcast and YouTube channel, it's not like this. It's in the other way. So it's very forgiving. So that's all good, guys. And again, if you want to get more specific on all this, let's have a chat together so you can have a very tailored strategy. You have the link in the description below. And I want to share that, obviously, I want to practice what I preach. So just want to show with the Conscious Podcast Lab that I'm launching with this video and a presentation video. I'm implementing all of these, of course, because they're the best practices. So I've made a commitment. I'm putting 6 hours a week on this YouTube channel for at least 8 weeks, and then I'll see, but most likely longer. And I'm doing an episode every week, at least. I'm choosing video and YouTube. Obviously, you're watching me on YouTube right now. I have a strong why. I'm really passionate about raising the consciousness of our planet. I know that. That's why I'm doing this. That's why it's fun for me to do this. I'm clear on my goals and my positioning. I'm talking to conscious leaders who want to start, grow, and monetize a podcast and YouTube channel. That's who I'm talking to. And all the content I'm doing is about helping you with that, solving your problems in that specific area. And I also have a very clear purpose for myself, which is I want to find the people with whom it's aligned to work together and that would benefit a lot from receiving my coaching so they can create an incredible podcast and YouTube channel that gives them what they want: influence, leads, personal development. So I have a fun around it, and that's why if you look in the description, we can have a call. There's no pressure, we just have a call. I help you, strategy session. But sometimes people end up wanting to work with me because there's also advantages beyond watching the YouTube videos of having a one-on-one coaching. Start with 2 episodes. So I'm launching now with this video and another video. So if you like this video and you're like, oh, that seems like a cool channel, go and watch the other video I published at my launch, which is the presentation video, which explains to you a little bit more about who it's for, what it is about, what we will cover, like what you will get from subscribing to the channel, and a little bit more about who I am also. Have the right tools and systems. So I got my whiteboard. I'm doing one take, super easy. I love to be really authentic, and it's been prepared. Like I take some time to prepare. I actually thought about the title before, so I reverse engineered it, but then it's very streamlined, and I just record and post. I know what works for me. Again, I can help coach you with that. I've leveraged my email list, people who are wanting to start a podcast and YouTube channel, and also some friends. When I launch, I'm like, hey, can you, I use it on Instagram too. Can you tag friends? Can you share in your stories? And can you go on YouTube and watch the video and comment? They're usually interested in it and they're going to comment. So I've definitely done that. And I've avoided perfectionism because you can see this video. So maybe, I don't know, maybe my hair could have been a little bit better. And the light, I'm waiting for those purple lights. There's always a reason to postpone, but it was definitely good enough, I hope. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. You can watch my channel presentation if you want to have more background about what the channel is about. And of course, if you want to have a chat one-on-one, the strategy call, book it and we can have a chat. One last thing, I love this to be a community platform in the comments. So in the comment of this video, if you enjoyed this video, leave like, what did you get out of it? What's your main insight? Has this been helping you? Please share with me and with the community. I read all the comments and I reply to all of them. I wish you a beautiful day. I hope that was helpful, and I send much love your way.